All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're joined again with my fellow mascot horror gamers, HorrorScoped, as well as AstralSpiff, and we're going to be chatting about the new Five Nights at Freddy, the Secret of the Mimic. That I guess it's been out for like 10-ish days at this point. But I think all of us have kind of had time to play it and kind of sit on it and let it stew. And I feel like we've kind of got our thoughts kind of ironed out for the game at this point. So yeah, we're just going to talk about what we like, what we didn't like, I guess maybe we'll tap into like the crazy speedrun scene and stuff we've all found out about, stuff like that. Yeah. So I think we'll start maybe with the good and bad. So I don't know if any one of you want to start with maybe we'll start all go through our good and then we'll talk about the not so good after.
Sure. I really liked it. I think a lot of people were like, oh, it's not FNAF anymore. But I mean, by that logic, it hasn't been FNAF for a very long time. And we may never get a Defend the Office type game again. But I mean, fan games are definitely filling that hole. I liked how the story was just right in your face, because I know that's been a sticking problem for a lot of people. Is they feel that things have been retconned / like reveals are tied to characters that didn't exist before the game, which people are pretty frustrated about. But I just liked like a straightforward story being presented to you with kind of nuanced background elements as opposed to the normal FNAF style of only nuanced background elements. The game definitely feels very similar to like Resident Evil, where you just go from a boss and around that sort of area and then you deal with the boss and then it's next area. But it was still fun to go around, and the endings requiring, like the secret ending requiring all the collectibles actually makes, I think, for a pretty good speedrun. So I'm pretty happy with that there. It's going to be the first FNAF game, really since Ruin, that I'm excited to do more than just play with.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I guess to echo off what you said in order. Yeah, I've seen a couple people, they've been like, oh, this isn't FNAF before. Like, what has FNAF become? But it's like, I feel like you can only do like office survival stuff for so long. I feel like if that's all we got for 10 plus years, I feel like people would have gotten tired of it eventually.
Yeah.
See, there's only so much you can kind of iterate with that. And I feel like you still kind of do get like the maybe not as much defense, but you still kind of get those kind of sections in Secret of the Mimic where it kind of does feel similar. Trying to think what was, yeah, there's a lot of like definitely a lot more stealth, like kind of run around the enemies in this game.
Yeah, they're actually dangerous. Like you can't just run circles around the Mimic.
Yeah, like the dolly section, like that was definitely debatable.
Hey, they're faster at least.
Yeah, and then what was the other? The collectible. Yeah, the endings and the story. I thought the story was really good. I did like that it was kind of pretty, like you said, in your face, explicit. It's like, this is how Fazbear Entertainment started. This is where it all, which I thought was super cool, and I liked how it kind of tied in with Security Breach. It's like, this is, I'm assuming, like I think it hasn't been confirmed or anything, but I'm like, that's where the burn trap ending, I'm assuming, takes place, and that's why like the big Freddy head and whatever is under the Pizzaplex. So I'm pretty sure it's inferred that the Pizzaplex is built over top of that area. So it was cool. It kind of tied into like just FNAF stuff in general, and also obviously tied into Security Breach and Ruin, which I thought was super cool.
Yeah, I think it story-wise, I think it definitely flowed a lot easier. I mirror your thoughts on getting Resident Evil vibes. Also Luigi's Mansion to some degree, in terms of the small, intimate space. The story itself felt very, not in terms of like the actual story, but Resident Evil 8 or Village-ish, in terms of where you have this grand reveal that honestly sort of rewrites or solidifies so much about the story. In Resident Evil 8, they went back and revealed like, oh yeah, there's a relationship between these two people.
Don't spoil it. I haven't played it
Oh,
yet.
geez, okay.
Oh, you're too bad.
Chris Redfield is the virus.
But basically in a way that makes you rethink the other games. Some people like that, some people didn't. Some people consider it rewriting timeline stuff. with FNAF, I think the biggest upset is people lean so much on it's like the books versus the games and using the books to justify the games.
But even sorry to interject, but even the book, the Secret of the Mimic book, from what I heard, is like different than the game itself, isn't it? Like the kind of stories, at least a little bit different.
To some degree, yeah. Like there's different. Like doesn't like Fiona died? I don't know. Remember, like Fiona dies during childbirth or something. I don't quote me. I've just seen that online.
I think it's something like that. Where like Fiona like isn't as like, I guess her death is like a big driver in the book, but like she's not like present as she is in this game or something like that.
I think it's not reading the books. Yeah, I think it's interesting because you have people who complain about that, but at the same time, like, wouldn't you rather experience a slight alternative twist to something? Because like you even see it in the Marvel movies and stuff like that, where like it's not exactly 1-to-1 like the comics. Yeah. If you knew the exact story going in, you would not be surprised by anything, hypothetically. So I think this even comes back to what you guys were talking about versus you have FNAF in the office where you're shutting doors versus this free roam FNAF that has evolved into. I think a lot of people who have gripes with that, and they are obviously thinking of their own experience, but from a game design perspective, I think the reason why these games have gone this direction is because that is one, what sells more copies usually. When you're supporting a big team of people, especially like Steel Wool, I mean, it's a decently sized studio. But two, it's, I think you guys nailed it where it's like not everyone likes the insane difficulty of FNAF. Like that wasn't like people enjoyed watching YouTubers grind through the hard challenges and stuff like that. And I think I learned this firsthand with my own game dev stuff. It's like the first game was very, very difficult. Second game a little bit easier. It will have difficult parts, stuff like that. But I think there's a clear indicator where a lot of people who like the challenges, they are more vocal because they miss that style of gameplay. But ultimately, FNAF has sort of been absorbed by kids. So it's sort of naturally shifted to cater to that because it makes most of its money through merchandise. So it's kind of, I understand why it went the direction it did. I think Secret of the Mimic as a game felt more concise and was more fun to play than like Security Breach. Security Breach, there was a lot of empty space. It was cool to explore, but I mean, I think I read somewhere the entirety of Secret of the Mimic can fit in Roxy's Raceway, like in terms of scope. Like, so you have one room in that game that could fit the entirety of this game. So I think all these things, and I think also like horror in general benefits from more compact spaces. And I think that's why Ruin was better received because you have this junk populating these rooms now that made it more intimate. You don't have like these giant open spaces that you can just run away from things. So I think the claustrophobic aspect of this too, the clutteredness of the studio and the state it was in, did lean more to it being spooky, I guess. So yeah, I also enjoyed it. I think at first people were always upset when it comes out, and then I think the reviews kind of mellow out. People are expecting one thing, and the people who got something they weren't expecting are the loudest the second it comes out. But then once everyone has a chance to pick up and play, it kind of evens out. Yeah,
it was definitely like a good, like it was kind of in between like Security Breach and Ruin, where Security Breach was like super open-ended, like different paths you could take, whereas Ruin was like incredibly linear. Like you're kind of forced to go down like one little path essentially. And this one was kind of like it is still linear, but you are able to kind of backtrack and revisit areas, whereas in Ruin you were not really able to do that.
You at least had chapters select.
That's true. I really wish this game had Secret of the Mimic had chapter select.
Yeah, and I mean, odd. The justification is that you can go back to most places, but you can't go back to like chases and stuff.
Yeah, like you can't redo the Captain Springlock section or like redo the Dolly stuff.
No.
So that would have been, or the big top, like just like redoing those kind of segments without having to replay the whole game. Would have been nice. They might add it. I guess they added chapter select in Security Breach after release, if I remember correctly. So
I hope so.
Or no, they didn't. Sorry, no, they didn't. They just had saves. You could just reload any save you wanted.
They added the 6 a.m. save.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think autosave can work well when you have a flat game, but when you have a layered game where there's rooms above you and below you, my biggest thing is, working on content where I'm going through walls and all this stuff. I got so many comments being like, I wish the game wasn't autosave trigger happy with, like, in terms of going to new areas, because people are like, oh yeah, because of the performance issues of the game, I fell through the ground and it autosaved. And I had no way to get out of this soft lock situation because the save writes so much to it.
Where'd you fall?
Oh, yeah, exactly. Tell me more.
I've been like, I'm learning the map out of bounds right now.
Nice. Yeah, I had to go look. I just remember seeing those pop up. I'm just like, oh geez, that's gotta not be fun for a casual player.
There's a gnarly, like, hard lock that I just learned a way out of. If you, like, right where Big Top first is, if you just fall through the floor right there, you land in the dolly garbage chute section.
Yeah.
And at that point, if you don't fix it, like, you will be freeze frame jump scared, can't pause the game. Like, you have to Alt F4.
The ultimate FNAF experience.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
But I guess that's kind of the good stuff. Anything you guys didn't particularly like about, I guess, aside from the auto save spots?
Not jumping.
Oh, yeah.
It's a great idea because, I mean, it's like security breach. You don't have to jump in security breach. If they actually didn't let us, then it would have been a lot harder to break. But at the same time, the result of not being able to jump has just made skips a lot more convoluted. Like and yeah, there's a lot of, like, FPS related stuff. Like, there's a skip in Big Top where I have to start at 30 FPS. Halfway through the out of bounds fall, I have to switch to 60, and then when I land, I have to switch back to 30.
Nice.
It's just and yeah, jumping would solve that.
Yeah, it kind of feels like unnatural sometimes. Like, you should be able to jump, and it's like, ugh, it just feels, even if it didn't benefit at all, just having that option to do it, I think would have been, I don't know, nice
well,
gameplay
I guess
wise.
Leaning into, like, if it is going like Resident Evil route, like a game that features no jumping, I think when you look back to Ruin and Security Breach, was there any point maybe you had to jump maybe to get into the, I don't remember, Security Breach, you have to jump to get into the vent at the beginning of the game, right? And that was like it?
Yeah. I mean, well, as the guy who did jumpers, that was easy to get out of. Really, there's just, like, the occasional box that you don't think about. Like, the hardest is there's a box that you have to jump onto to get into the vent in Endos. But I mean, if they had a smaller box beside it, then you don't have to jump. So
yeah,
really, no, there's no gameplay reason to be jumping in any of the games. So it is probably a good thing that they took it out.
They probably also maybe did it thinking that it would save them a lot of headache for having to test people getting out of bounds and accidentally breaking things.
Well, look how far that got them. They're gonna have to do it. They're gonna have to do it anyway. Yeah, there's lots to patch, I guess.
Yeah. I'm trying to do, like, an all endings run, and it's fun because you need to get all the collectibles, so it's kind of like a really cool out of bounds routing. Except a skip was just found that essentially lets you float anywhere, including to the, like, secret ending bedroom with the Tiger Rock plush. So I just have to move forward pretending that doesn't exist.
Does it involve a locker?
It doesn't, no.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, it involves teleportation using Jackie's box. Because the locker thing just raises you. It's not a floaty thing. And Sub 1's around the corner, too.
So close.
It's funny, like, when I first opened the game, I got out of the van, and the first thing I did was run up to the door. I'm like, oh, you can't get in. I went inside. I'm like, it's all on fire. I'm like, this game came out like 11 minutes ago. Like,
this is before you played it. It's like before you played through it. That's funny.
I'm like, okay, hold on, rewind time.
That's funny.
This might be useful later.
That is funny.
Immediately spoiled.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I don't know if you guys have you guys tried loading everything at once?
No.
It's actually incredible how, like, connected the map is. Like, obviously stuff deloads, but if everything theoretically was to be loaded, everything, or a lot of things I should say, are like where you'd expect them to be, like the windows that have like the 2D texture or whatever, the illusion of where that room is. More often than not, that is actually where that room does load, like behind the security office.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's where the warehouse room is. The mail room with Digityper, like most of the time those rooms are right behind there. And even like the doors, a lot of the doors, like the in like the storage area or whatever where the security office is, like that overhead loading area, right outside of that is the outside of the facility, or like behind the door that has a bunch of debris on it. There didn't have to be a room behind there, but that it turns out that's like where another room actually is. It's just deloaded. So yeah, I tried loading everything at once. It's incredibly hard to run. But it's like ran at like 8 FPS. Yeah, it's like super well connected. Like even like where you go, like the inventor's house or whatever it's called, it actually like is right beside where you see the model of the house, like at the start, like on the hill or whatever.
That's dope.
Yeah, so it's super cool. Like everything is
Yeah, that is cool.
Is super connected and just makes sense. Obviously, like I think the intent, like they probably modeled everything as one cohesive thing, but obviously, yeah, they had to deload stuff to make it run at higher than single digit FPS.
I wonder. So there's a area in the theater behind a wall that has text that says like Dolly Hospital Start or something like that.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder. I was wondering about like, did that used to be upstairs? And then that would maybe think about the theater in general, because the theater area below it is the recycling center. But in order to get to the rooms in the theater, they have those lifts. And I haven't checked this, so I'd be curious if you had checked in that area, because like, the lifts to me were interesting because like it made me think like, okay, these lifts for this suit are here purposefully because they can't punch a hole through these walls and actually get to where they need to go. So they have you go up above the level, unload, and then come down to a separate room that wasn't connected. Yeah, that'd be neat to see.
That's pretty much exactly what it is. I think except for the one that you're on the balcony is the only one that's not like in line with the other ones.
Okay.
And to go off the Dolly start thing, yeah, that's like, it actually is like it's really close to where you start the hospital section. It's like, if you load everything in, just below it is actually like really close to the end of the game, actually, like where you stop the cart ride or whatever. But it's like down to the left is where you normally start.
I do have a gripe I just thought of.
Yeah.
How the chases end. Like this all the scenes felt like they could be chapters, right? Like you have Jackie, you have Big Top. Like it almost feels like they're designed to be like the cliffhanger type chapters we see, episode based indie horror game type stuff. But the fact that Jackie just slips out of a vent, and basically with the angle the vent falls, she would have just fell into the room right behind the security office. I mean, she literally knocks down does she knock down the door? Or is the door? I can't remember, but she's like destroying stuff, right? So like, there's only a piece of glass between you and that. Like, where did Jackie go? Also, how did Big Top, who can punch through buildings easily, just die from falling a single story?
You survive it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I guess Big Top survives it too, right? Because Big Top appears.
Okay, but he survives it in a rough condition.
Yeah, true.
So there's a lot of. I did find that interesting. As a developer who also used the fall and blackout trope a lot. That happens like 3 times in the first 3 areas.
Something like that.
Well, the Jackie one's the most abrupt. I mean, you don't see her damaged or anything.
I assumed that Jackie was still. I mean, obviously it was the mimic or whatever controlling all of them, but I thought Jackie was like. I didn't think that Jackie was like gone.
Yeah,
I thought it was just like, oh, we'll see Jackie again. Nope.
Yeah, I think the only thing I don't like when games do, and this can be hard sometimes depending on how you're trimming the story to make sure it's a enjoyable experience and all these things, but like when villains make dumb choices conveniently, like okay, the vent breaks and the mimic's like, okay, well, I'm gonna take a 10-minute break and just get out of Jackie. I'm gonna take same thing with Big Top, stuff like that. The convenience, I think, sometimes does pull away from the story.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like what I've seen is like, again, I don't know how I believe it. It could be another just like you said, kind of just like villains doing stupid things for no reason. But it's like several times you're running from Jackie at the start. Clearly, you can tell that Jackie can grab you, and it's like. But I saw people are like, oh, like Jackie's like playing with the prey essentially until like, but it's like, why? I don't know if it's like, and it's like, it's not like you're the first Fazbear technician there either. There's obviously been several others that have been unalived, and it's like, yeah, I don't think there's any reason for this. It's not like the Mimic hasn't seen people for like 20 years, and it's like, oh, it's a person, I can play with them kind of thing. Like clearly people have gone there and have died, so it's, I don't know if I really buy into that theory. I guess that
it destroys anything that moves. I mean, the male robot like gets obliterated.
Yeah.
It's like as soon as I see something move, it's like Hulk smash.
Yeah.
And it's also on that note, it's like, why would I don't know, there's, I guess you can poke holes in a lot of stuff, but it's like, why would the Mimic take control of these like slow ass like mascots that waddle around an area? It's like, obviously the Mimic can be a lot more efficient taking control of, even not even taking control, just being itself. Like,
yeah,
when it chases you at the end, it's like infinitely faster and more aggressive than moving between those costumes or whatever. But obviously,
sneaky.
There's obviously gameplay considerations, but I don't know. It's just fun to kind of poke holes in that.
Did you have struggles with crashes?
No, surprisingly, no. Actually, my game,
no.
My first playthrough was pretty smooth.
Just 3 crashes in my first playthrough.
I think I only had 1, and it was my own doing.
Yeah, and I mean, I've crashed the game. Yeah, it's pretty sensitive to external stuff, but I've crashed it a number of times. Just
was that like maybe related to your like? Because you had issues with your stream, I saw. Right?
That was not related.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine was pretty. I mean, I didn't try to break anything or anything. I was, I guess, just doing a pretty vanilla playthrough of it the first time.
No, the first time I passed like the first elephant costume mimic and just went through the door. Like, the game just died.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then since then, during runs it's a bit different because I do like out of bounds clips, and I guess that puts strain on it. But I've crashed a few times in runs as well. Crashes have definitely been a problem for me. And then you know about the uncapping FPS thing?
Yeah, just F11.
But like, if you don't have VSync on, your FPS just goes to a trillion and the game explodes.
That's a feature.
Because I don't know, I did that. I did that for the 90%, the original 90% locker clip or whatever. Yeah, I guess mine wouldn't go to too high. Mine would go to like 200 to 300 FPS. It wouldn't crash though, thankfully.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, if I uncap without VSync on to limit it to 144, it just goes up to like 800 and explodes.
Jeez. That's funny. I'm trying to think. One thing I didn't particularly care for was the big top section. You had to like rinse and repeat the same puzzle like, 3 or 4 times in a row. The lava, whatever, power puzzle.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was kind of tedious. There was like the 2 puzzles I thought were tedious. That one and like the magnet moving around the platforms. Like I don't mind the puzzle itself. It's just it was super slow to like pick them up, drag them around. I don't know. That felt kind of.
Oh yeah, no, that's quite painful. I agree.
It wasn't bad, but that was probably my least favorite part of the game. I keep wanting to say chapter. I'm so used to saying chapter for like
chapter
Poppy.
4,
yeah, for Poppy and
Mimic
and Deltarune and stuff.
Yeah,
that's actually another comment I saw a lot of people say is like this game felt a lot more like Poppy, which I would honestly agree. Like without having like the grab packs, it did feel pretty Poppy like. But I guess that's kind of the genre in general now is pretty similar.
I feel like I mean they've gone bendy routes basically. I feel like most even like this, like when I say things feel like Poppy, it also is like, well, that's in turn true. You're saying it feels like bendy, which is the inspiration to Poppy, and I can see that. I can see in terms of like the studio layout and bendy and stuff like that was, and the flow of things was similar in some regards.
Yeah, I think I saw someone say like these games shouldn't even be referred to like mascot horror anymore. It should be like, I guess, subversive horror, because it's all kind of the same trope where it's like, ooh, family-friendly thing, but evil.
One thing I found interesting was this takes place in 79, right? So that's a significant amount of time, I would imagine, between this game and Security Breach. Yeah, even that, yeah. And how far I guess the technology advancement
Right.
of things in the 70s. It seems like they're pretty far along, and then they weren't far
Yeah.
along, and then it's that. I think that's the only thing for me that was like, if you're into this, if you've played all the previous games and you're into the story and into like, I guess even just the whole, I guess, animatronics and how they work in general, it was interesting to see them go so big with something that take place in the 70s versus like something that was like simple. I thought that was kind of interesting. And I think, quite honestly, kind of going back to what we were talking about before in regards to the simplicity of the game in the originals, where you were just in the office defending yourself, and where they are now, I think the biggest win for the fan base and people who want that is going to be definitely the Joy of Creation remake, which I think is going to satisfy the fans who were not satisfied with Mimic or Secret of the Mimic.
For difficulty, yeah.
Just difficulty in that sense of you're in one room, you're defending yourself in unorthodox ways, and you have a time limit that you have to survive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that, TetraBit, you played the Dead Seat.
I did.
I found that to be like my favorite sort of defend the office game in a while.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was for those that don't know, it's like a game made by Isaac, who worked on Poppy. I guess he worked on all of them, 1 through 4. Him and another fella, I believe, made this game. It's pretty much like a FNAF style survival thing. You're in a car, you have to defend the car essentially from big bad monster that chases you. Yeah, it was really cool. It was like, I liked all the items you can use to kind of give it an extra layer of difficulty. Like my first playthrough, I barely used them. I think I just used the boards or whatever, like on the last hour or whatever.
Did you see that they added like another hard mode with like presets and stuff? They've kind of like they added a almost DLC sort of thing to it.
Okay, I think I saw that. I just haven't updated it.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. Like, it was my favorite sort of harder office defense game in a while that takes the place of what normal FNAF is not doing anymore.
Yeah, I like that. It also, like, it kind of, you can, like, in between each hour or whatever, you play your DS, and you can get as many items as you want, or not any at all, right? So you can kind of take the time to prepare yourself as much as you want, or if you're kind of confident in your abilities, you can just say screw it and go without any items.
Yeah, the DLC expanded on that too, where like there's a hard mode preset where you have to get a key in that sort of land before you can start the car, which is adds a layer to it. It's fun.
Yeah, that's actually a good idea, because like I guess it kind of forces you to play that kind of style, or the DS, instead of just skipping it, which is pretty cool. Because it got pretty hard to, like, I think like the 4th or 5th hour or whatever, it was pretty, like, the monster showed up pretty quick and it was pretty fast. That I was like, this ain't worth it. I'm just gonna keep what I have. But yeah, that was definitely a good like FNAF style game.
Yeah, I assume both of you have done a more thorough job looking Out of Bounds. I just kind of had my one stream of looking Out of Bounds. What are some, like, have you found any unused stuff?
Very little comparatively, I would say. Like, when I first started, I was like, man, I don't know if I'm gonna be even able to make a video on this stuff. So not really much unused. And to add to that, I don't even know if there's any unused maps in the game. There might be like 1 or 2, but nothing like, no like block out early maps or anything that we've seen in past games, which I mean, like, on one hand, it's good. I guess they're cleaning up the game. They're not making it to take up too much space. But obviously, on the content side of things, it's like, oh, man. But that said, there's still a lot of other interesting unused stuff that, stay tuned, I'll be chatting about over the next couple of weeks.
Like I will not spoil it, because if you're going to cover it, go ahead. But the intro used to be insanely long.
Yeah, I will
that
cover
car
that
scene.
Yeah, it's quite different.
I'm glad it's not, for the sake of...
Yeah, and they repurposed parts of it with not in the game itself, but like the promotion materials. But yeah, it used to be...
yeah.
But yeah, I would agree. They seem to have... And I really haven't done a whole lot of digging through like files or anything, but it seems like they cleaned up their workspace.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're used to seeing more things. I think the biggest. I mean, there was like the text I talked about earlier. There was white boxing left over in the Big Top Chase. Yeah, not a whole lot's coming to mind.
There's
I think
a
bit. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say there's like 3 or 4 instances of like the dev blocks or whatever that I found.
Yep.
And most of them weren't like out of bounds; they were actually like inbounds between walls and stuff, which was kind of interesting. I guess they were just using those to like scale how wide they wanted gaps to be or something.
I think a big thing about this game too, like when you for Ruin, for example, each area kind of flowed from one to the other, but they stored those maps so far apart, right? Yeah. So when you have something that's tightly compact, you have to for sure double check what's out of bounds so that when you load these things, or let's say you forget to unload something, you don't have a random thing clipping through the map from a previous thing, or maybe like if you're storing your jump scare models or any sort of assets you need for cutscenes, you're fitting them in the pieces of the walls, and I think that forces developers, even subconsciously, to delete unneeded things. Versus a game like Ruin or other games where you have open space, it's not as critical because no one's going to be like, oh, this thing from over there is going to clip the wall because the maps are like hundreds of in-game meters apart. So I think that sort of lended to the game being a little more clean around the edges.
Probably had more time to cook. It was definitely not like a security breach situation where it's like, oh, they cut an entire wing of the facility or like something like that. So it seems like it was more methodically planned out, and they didn't make any big changes. But what was also interesting on that note is that like the roof you're on in the big top section is actually a different area than like where you spawn, like where you start the game. Like it's a completely different building model. And it was also interesting that the retail office, like the ending where it's burning, is actually like when you go there when it's not burning, it's also actually a completely different area. It's loaded in a different area in the map, which it's like pretty far from what I remember too, which I thought was pretty interesting. So you guys have done the moon, whatever secret moon thing, right? Yeah, that part pretty creepy.
I have a complaint. I can't believe I forgot this. Moon.exe after the first time is awful. Terrible experience. Like the 20 minutes of nothing.
Like the game, like the computer game itself?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It is incredible. Like, I wish it just menued faster. Everything is like 5 seconds apart. Like when you click a dialogue thing, you gotta wait for it to think.
Yeah.
And
truly 70s computer simulator.
Yeah, no, it's
which is funny because it's not 70s at all. EXEs didn't even come out until the 80s.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, they're comms before then.
That's funny.
They gotta relate to the newer generation that only knows EXEs.
Sonic EXE.
Basically.
That's funny. Where was that? Oh yeah, the moon section. Yeah, that was creepy. But what's not creepy is like the white tiger and that section. Like when it's like unlit, it's like, oh, it's a parking lot. This isn't scary. I don't even know how the white tiger works, because like
I didn't like that much either.
It's because like I think the intention is you're supposed to stay in the light and it doesn't chase you. But like I
watched you test it a lot, Spiff. On your, I tune into one of your streams or maybe one of your videos where you're like, "Can I just run through this?" And you're testing in various ways to trying to like.
Yeah, the answer
is
is
possible.
Yes, you can run through it, except you still have to wait for a spotlight to like turn around to hit a lever. So currently at its fastest, the area kind of boils down to look at the tiger, run to where you have to be, wait for the spotlights to get there, and then you can proceed.
Because like I tried playing the area like with unlit, so I didn't know, so I couldn't see where the lights were like spawning or not. And it's like it was like kind of like what's called like the weeping angel or whatever system. I just kept an eye on it. I just walked backwards and it wouldn't teleport. And I'm assuming I was walking through the darkness, but obviously if you're playing it normally, I'm assuming at that distance you wouldn't be able to see the white tiger. But I guess if you just know where it is, if you just walk backwards, it won't actually teleport.
Even if there's like a pillar,
it'll kill you, right?
Yeah. I was like, even if there was like slightly blocking line of sight, it still wouldn't teleport. So it's just weird. So I'm kind of confused with exactly how it works.
Well, I don't love it because it can like spawn in front of you and it has a massive hitbox too.
Yeah. Sometimes one time I was just like, I got through the area, I got into the elevator, and then I just got jump scared, and I had no idea why. I pressed the button. It was like, I guess I don't know if it was during the map reloading or something.
Elevator?
Yeah, like the elevator at the end. I just like
way at the end.
Yeah. I just no clipped, like flew all the way into there, whatever, skipped the entire section, pressed the button, and actually got jump scared because I was not expecting that at all.
They have a lot of, and I haven't looked at to see what like the ranges are on them, but in the game where a chase segment ends, they have areas that are large that will just click on and kill you. Like for example, the area where Jackie comes out that door and gets smashed by the door, and then you can either go back where you came from, and Jackie will chase you down there, or they'll have a different running animation or moving animation to the vent. But both those areas, like the second they reach like their last frame, it's like there's like a massive hitbox that just spawns in front of them, and I think a little bit behind them that will kill you. I noticed that in some other things too. Like you can't get behind the mimic when it's in Dolly's body, when it's on the conveyor belt.
Oh, okay.
There's things like they just have like these massive catch-alls, and I haven't looked at the bounds of these things, but like that's what it seemed like when trying to sequence break areas, and I would just get caught in this instant.
And you just awkwardly like instantly die, right? There's no even jump scare.
No, it's a jump scare just because of the jump scares work two different ways. Like there's like for example, Jackie's has, because Jackie is designed differently than the other enemies because of the long arms and how weird the movement works. There's like two things that can happen with Jackie, where there will be an inbound jump scare that happens, or something that I actually can't remember if it calls out the environment or if it just moves you out of bounds. I actually think it moves you out of bounds. If the game, this is my thought, if the game detects that the jump scare or your camera is going to pass through some sort of physical geometry. We actually use that in Zardy's cave, because if you get hit by a garden hoe and your camera falls, like it's kind of messy to see something fall through the map. So like you kind of run a check and be like, okay, if at any point during this animation the camera moves through X geometry or any sort of physical collider, move it out here. And I think Jackie has a similar thing where I don't know if it's moved or if it's just they call out stuff and play it on top of things, but there are stuff like that.
Spoiler alert! I believe you covered that the player gets teleported for the big top jump scare, right? To that one section with the two weird mannequins.
Yeah, with the suggestive mannequins. I saw that.
Yeah, suggestive mannequins. I like that. But yeah, so it turns out that if you load everything in, there's also a Jackie model there. There's also a Mimic, an M2 model there.
Oh.
And there's two other things. There's like
the hub.
So I think it's just like a hub of jump scare. I haven't tested it yet, but I'm assuming it's just a hub of what you said, Swanky. Just like if there is some sort of catch-all for those jump scare animations, that they just get teleported to that kind of column of characters.
Yeah, during the Jackie chase, if you go look out and find the T-posing Jackie, if you look at it closely, you can see it's actually like 2 or 3 different Jackies stacked.
I saw the textures. I saw the textures were like clipping through each other.
The Z fighting. Yeah, it was. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But I guess it also makes sense because like Jackie slowly degrades in model quality as time goes on.
Yeah, you see more of the Mimic's face or whatever.
Yeah, like the door. I thought this was neat. The door, when you slam Jackie to the ground, it actually does damage Jackie's face. And that will hold true. Like, it's stuff like that where it's nice touches, and you may not notice them the first time, but like going through it again, like, oh yeah, that's why, by the time of the chase, like all these things have happened. Jackie's looking a little rough around the edges.
Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know if the reason I asked was like the weird death. I don't know if you guys tried it, but there's that one section pre-theater when you take the elevator up to the one magnet puzzle with the platforms or whatever to get across.
Yeah,
if you just fall, it's just like, oh, you just
brother dies from a 3-foot fall, but he doesn't die or drop in 2 stories.
Yeah, it's just like the screen, just like like the film or whatever effect, burning film. Just
you can actually,
like,
you can actually see the death. You can actually see the death barrier too. Because their death barriers, they use. Some of them actually have like colliders. So like if you're in the Captain Springlock suit, you can just shoot the ball and it skips off the death barrier. You can actually. So for example, the big pit in the middle of the room, they actually did add a death barrier down there as well. Even though there's no true way to fall down there. Which I think is smart because if you aim down and you shoot the ball, you can see your little ball skipping off not far down. But I think it was wise to do that because in case someone if they did slip down, that would suck to be at that point in the game, slip down into because the moon area is actually down there.
Yeah.
And then getting an autosave and being like, where am I?
Yeah.
How do I get out? I don't have any of these permissions.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was doing it. It happened to me too when I was walking along some of the ventilations in that area. They have like some scrap, like walking on top of the area you're supposed to crouch down after you shoot that target. Like if you were walking on top of that, you'll just instantly die like after like 3 steps.
That's funny. And I guess they did that for that elevator because like you can't call the elevator after, like you can't call it from downstairs after you call it up. So it's like obviously if you did fall down, you'd be soft locked.
Yeah.
Which is kind of weird. They didn't add a way to lower it, but I guess it might have to do with that puzzle that's up there.
One minor gripe is how long the menus take. Like if you do make a mistake and you need to reload your save, not being able to like do it because you have the menu animations, all this stuff. Thankfully, if you're using if you're using software or some sort of tool, you can just open the main menu and it actually cuts out half the process. But like that was not. I think that's for an average player. That's probably a bit of a frustrating thing. Like it's a cool effect, right? The whole like movie projector,
the film roll.
Yeah.
But like after you've seen it a few times and the whole sequence of getting back just to reload a save, it's a significant amount of time. Like
it adds up.
Like 40 seconds. Probably maybe more than 40 seconds.
I just don't get why there has to be like a separate menu, like the save file menu just to get to the main menu. That
is interesting.
Yep.
Pause buffering like for any percent is just so goofy looking because of the film roll.
I was getting like flashbacks from like people doing like Ocarina of Time speedruns because like when you press it, it's like the menu spins and pops up and it takes so long.
Yeah.
Classic.
Overall, I thought the game was good. I think it was. I know there's people have gripes with it. I think it was something a little bit different for the franchise. To me, the things I liked about it was felt like I was navigating, unlocking parts of a building, and exploring more. Like that's fun to me. Like in terms of maybe I would have wanted something more, a little bit more than just the wind up chipmunk things to defend myself. But at the same time, they worked. I mean, I didn't really have too many issues with them.
It's okay. Next game they'll add the Phas Glock because the mimic will have replicated itself so many times that we need some
firepower.
One can only hope. That mob was a lot of fun. I'm assuming I actually didn't check. Did you guys play the mod for Security Breach? I'm assuming that's what you meant.
No.
Right?
The Chaos mod that has the Glock.
I haven't played.
Well, there's also a standalone where before it was part of the Chaos mod.
Okay.
Where you just shoot anything and it ragdolls, and it's a lot of fun.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, I only played the Chaos mod. That is funny.
Any other final thoughts about the game, or even wishes for the future?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess to also echo off what you said. I don't know. I'm a FNAF old head. I mean, I'm kind of I'm still a pretty casual fan overall. Like I don't dive into the stuff too hard for as far as like lore and stuff. But as someone that's been around the series, I guess for 11 years almost, like I don't know. I much prefer these newer games. I don't know if it's just at least in terms of gameplay. I think what a lot of people like about the old stuff is probably maybe like the lore aspects or watching YouTubers kind of, like you said, kind of play them and stuff. But obviously there is a percentage of people that do like that difficulty in that style. But like I think until this, and I haven't made my like final decision yet, but like Security Breach was probably my favorite game in the series, and this might edge it out. I think like I probably have to give it a couple more weeks to kind of let it sit and see how I feel about it. But I think it's a pretty good contender to be probably my favorite in the series. If I was honest with myself, I think I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I think kind of going back to, I do not know if we'll see similar office-based stuff before, because in newer games, because I do also kind of enjoy this more. I almost wish they would lean more into the creepy aesthetic a bit more, which just because I think that worked well for the earlier games. Yeah. But realistically, at the size FNAF is, I think, well, I could say probably, I would say the earlier games probably did not sell well at all. And that may have not been a super big issue because the franchise was growing and there was other opportunities for Scott.
Yeah, I mean, they're also like $5, right? So it's like, even if they did sell a lot.
Well, it's like your average player cannot beat them, hypothetically. Like, a kid who, or anyone who doesn't actually, because the mechanics aren't really explained. It's a lot of trial and error. And that is off-putting to a large part of players who may want to look into this game. So I think a big part of these games is that they are accessible to anyone who wants to pick it up and play it. And they can probably make it to the end, versus good luck to your average player trying to beat a Night 5 if they don't fully understand the mechanics or looked up how to do it.
It would be interesting, like if they I don't know, I'm assuming there's no actual stats for this, but like what percentage of players for like FNAF 1 through whatever sister location actually got past like Night 3 or Night 4. I feel like for the average player, maybe, I don't know, like I feel like that would probably be where they would kind of get caught up and frustrated, maybe. I'm not sure. But it'd be interesting to see like what percentage of players beat each night, kind of thing.
They didn't add Steve when they moved him, put him on Steam. They didn't have. I don't think there's any Steam achievements, which is a good benchmark. You can see like the total number of players who have reached a certain point.
Yeah, I don't think they have that for the at least the first 4 probably.
My final thought, and I kind of said this as a joke a while ago, but I'm thinking about it now. Something that I've appreciated about FNAF is, especially with the earlier ones, is that they kind of jumped all over the place. FNAF World is obviously an example of an extreme jump. But like, why not? Why not make the next one like a shooter, a strategy game? Who cares?
RTS would be sick.
At this point, whatever. Like, I would love to see a kind of off the rails FNAF game.
Yep.
I mean, I think like what's the situation with like does Scott still make games, or is he kind of just like creative assistant now?
I don't know.
There's a racing game coming out still. Is it out yet? I don't remember.
Which one?
The racing?
It's a demo still, and it's really bad.
But like, I feel like those games would only like off the rails stuff would probably only be possible if Scott like just out of the blue kind of did what he used to do.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I can't imagine Silwell's going to be like, I have this great idea, guys.
Streets of Rage.
What if? That's what I would like more of, because, it also means, people, obviously, anytime a FNAF game comes out in the future, they're going to want to see all 3 of us covering it. And so, I just like playing different types of games, too. It'd be fun to just... I love FNAF World because it's so out there, like basically playing Pokemon. It'd be cool.
That's true. Yeah, it's taking the Mario route. Mario like shoehorn the animatronics into any situation.
If they fixed up the racing game. Right now, it is awful. It's not a fun experience.
You need to do a FNAF party game, like a Mario Party.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be down.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Cover all the genres.
Well, that's yeah. I think that's what they should do.
It makes me wonder if, because like I think of like FNAF with a gun. I'm thinking like the joy of creation, remastering that, or is it a remaster remake? It's a total remake, I think, isn't it? So like they can kind of conform the story a bit differently. I would be surprised if, or not be surprised if at one point someone opens the desk and there's a pistol in there or something, even if it's like just knocked out of our hand or something. Because like that environment, the intensity of that game, I think would make, if someone was going to do it, that atmosphere would make sense.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I mean, it could work. 'Cause, like, isn't Bendy kind of doing that? Isn't Bendy 3 supposed to be like much grittier and darker and like, I don't know. I feel like there's nothing that says like a franchise. I mean, I don't know. I guess FNAF kind of is for kids now, but like it's still rated. I don't know what it's rated, but it's still M or whatever. So it's not out of the question for it to have shooty things.
I mean, the Dead by Daylight crossover is that's a
pretty gory. It's a pretty gory video game.
True. Yeah, it is.
All right, guys, let us know in the comments what you thought of Secret of the Mimic. Do you like it? Do you think it sucks? Do you wish we just had FNAF 1 style stuff back? Let us know. Anyways, we'll probably be back next time. Next big mascot horror game comes out.
Which one's that?
Kart racing game.
What's the next one? I don't know. Indigo Park Chapter 2.
Little Nightmares. No, I mean Little Nightmares 3 kind of like pulls the same audience, but when it's not really mascot horror.
I am incredibly excited for Little Nightmares 3.
I'm so hyped.
Like, that's a big personal thing for me.
Is there a hard release date for it yet, or is it kind
of? No, absolutely not. There's not a soft release date. We don't even technically have a year.
They have their what is it tomorrow? The Little Nightmares event going on. So we might get a release date tomorrow.
Yeah, that would be thrilling. Because it was like 2024, and then they're like, nope, 2025, and now we're halfway through 2025 with no information.
That's crazy. Like Silk Song.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, they had a demo of Little Nightmare at PAX West last year, and that was almost a year ago. So it's like, what's going on? All right, we'll leave it there. Thanks everyone for watching. Check out our video on Poppy Chapter 4 if you haven't yet. Thank you to AstralSpiff and HorrorScoped for joining today. And as always, thanks so much for watching, and I will see you guys in a bit.